Well, welcome to This is R&B. We're so excited to be interviewing you today with Eternal.
Wow.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing awesome. How about yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for speaking with us. We're so excited about you being featured on TV One's Unsung, and
Yes.
it's just amazing what you and your brother were able to accomplish, Eternal. So thank you for being with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
I think one of the first questions I have for you, two of your most memorable songs um,
Set adrift on memory
Head Adrift
bliss.
on Memory Lane and Die Without You, and you were,
Right.
how did that even happen? Being a part of the Boomerang Project with Eddie Murphy and Holly Berry.
Oh,
Did, how tell us about how you got the phone call coming in? What happened?
well, it's crazy because of the success of Set Adrift on Memory Bliss.
Mhm.
Eddie was working on his own album project and was looking for people to come and collab with him. So he thought about us, which is crazy in itself. So
Wow.
we're doing last bit of promotions for the first album and for Set Adrift and all that stuff before we go into the second album. And Eddie calls while we were in Paris, and he was like, when you guys, it's weird to know your team says here's the phone and it's Eddie, right? Which is crazy. And he's like, yo, you guys
On
are
the phone?
awesome. Yes. Eddie was like, yo, I know y'all doing promotion, but when y'all get back, call me. I'm gonna send a call. Y'all come get y'all. We come hang out. We write songs or whatever. And he did just that. We were freaking out, my brother and I. And shout out to Prince B, the captain of the PM Dawn ship, the one of the greatest songwriters that I think, not because he's my brother, but just one of the greatest songwriters, period, just because he is.
Right.
Shout out to Prince B. Well, we're screaming at throughout the hotel, just screaming, right? Because we were just so excited that we just talked to Eddie. So by the time when we get back, we called Eddie and we went to his house. And it was everything that you would think it would be, with Eddie, just chilling with Eddie, like Eddie. And then he picks up the guitar and he's rocking out, and he picks up the bass and he's playing. Eddie is a real musician. He can play every
Really?
instrument to his
That
core.
is something that
He's
most
that
people don't
dope.
know.
And it scared me. I was like, I thought he wanted to do something with something funny, but he was like, I don't know, I want to do real songs. Like, let's
Wow.
do real songs. And it was like, it was like trying to get my head around, all right, we got to make Eddie, we got to write songs with Eddie. And he got it right in the middle. He said, you know what I think this was for? He was like, yo, I'm doing this movie, Martin Lawrence, Grace Jones, Halle Berry. He's like, all this is in there. He was real excited. He was like, yo, write me a song for this movie. He told us the whole plot. He said, that's what I think this is. He said, when you give it to me, he said, I don't care what it is. I know it's going to be dope because it's coming from y'all. He said, LA and Babyface have the soundtrack locked down, but I will put it in their hands and make sure that it gets on the album, right? On the Boomerang soundtrack. And wow, like, it was real magic. Eddie did it, and it was like, when these serendipitous moments happen, it's all arranged by something, a higher power that's bigger than you, and when things like that happen. And when Eddie, which is crazy, Eddie, that song, I Die Without You, legitimized us with our own record label, really, because we came in the industry as like a Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff kind of format, with DJ rapper. But when we sent them I Die Without You, our label, the big powers that be at Island Records was like, you guys, rappers don't sing. Like, I was like, all right, well, Eddie wants it, so we was just letting you know, right? So they put that song out. And Flowers, my whole 4 year was full executives. I'm sorry, give us more I Die Without Yous. And You know, one of them was just like, hey, I manage Elton John. Give me one of those for Elton John's duets, and y'all in the duet. So if you guys ever type in Elton John's duets album, PM Dawn is on it, singing a duet with Elton John because of it, because of I Die Without You, because of Eddie. It's big.
And
it's big. I think of it.
Elton John. That is unimaginable.
Elton is a serious songwriter. He was like, his whole thing with us, he was like, you guys are songwriters. He was like, so concentrate on your craft, he said, because your songs, you don't have to worry about producing them. He said, I know you guys are producers too, but he said, the producer of the day, if you're a great songwriter 30 years from now, the producer of the day can make your song become a #1 top 10 hit. And he was very serious about, you know, song crafting style. And just watching him play and sing at the same time was priceless. You hear me? Crazy.
Tell us about this sound that you both created, because, you know, back in the 90s, you know, we were just really, hip hop was really on the rise and really solidifying itself. And here you guys come with this unique sound that was so different from what everyone else was doing. Tell me about that creative process. How were you guys able to create that sound? Was it something that just came naturally, or did you like get together and say, hey, we have to be different and we want our sound to be spacious? You know, like what was that creative process like? How did you?
Oh, thank God for sampling. You hear me? Because seriously, because it took us to a place I didn't know. When we were in the record store and we first saw the section that said French jazz, and we looked at each other, Prince B and I was like, there's French jazz? Like, that's real? Like, so we just combed through it. Like, you could get to put all these elements of things that you actually really like and put them together in a song, and it just creates this new vibe and new sound that I heard Taylor Swift one time. She was talking about her new album. She was like, yeah, you have to have all these elements in it, a little bit of reggae, a little bit of everything. And I'm like, girl, we was doing that like back in the day, you know? So it's cool to see it on another level, still doing what it does. And, you know, it just filtered through us by the things that we liked. You know, we liked a lot of jazz and I mean, a little bit of everything. And people, we were really locked in on, you know, how the Bee Gees did their harmonies and stuff like that. We're like, if we make records, we got to put like harmonies and stuff like that. So we studied like, how did they do that? And how did they build that structure? So it, you know, once we made that decision to really become recording artists and to really create something, that's how it came out. And it was like, wow, we were looking at each other. Prince B and myself were like, this doesn't sound like anything, which is great, because then, you know, when the needle goes on a record and it plays, they'll know it's us. Right. You know, it's because it has such a unique sound. And that, you know, we just, I don't know why it came out like that, to be honest. It was just something that came natural, but it was definitely a signature for us, without a doubt.
That is incredible. And you guys came out at a time when hip hop was known, you know, notoriously for being violent and for all of the cursing and profanity, the disrespect.
Yeah.
And yet you guys were able to continue to be yourselves and be original. Some people called you soft. Some people perceived you all as being soft. So right. Tell me about how important it was for you all to be true to yourselves at a time when you were really borderline R&B hip hop artists.
Well, the cool thing is, right, we knew the way Prince B walked around like that naturally with the beads and with all this glitter and stuff. So he knew, he's like, this is how we have to do it. Like, you know, and it was just so cool that he wanted to incorporate that look into that uniqueness into the music, because it really looked exactly how the music was, a little psychedelica and, you know, all these things, rock and, you know, pop and all these things together. So, you know, you have that unique sound, you know that it doesn't look or sound like anything else. You're going to be able to stand out in the middle of the crowd. I mean, what we didn't know, which, you know, you never know how somebody's going to take it. You can only present it and then see. So in a lot of, it was weird because, you know, we were the only ones at that particular point we basically thought that we were like a hip hop gospel group in a sense, right?
Right.
Because of the spirituality nature of the songs and the questions. Like Prince B would, you know, he would, every spiritual question that he had, he wrote it in a song and
Right.
put it out as an, you know, on the album. So it's good to have that and to know that you stand out, and that's the thing that got us signed, and that's the thing that got us noticed, was that we had a unique sound, and you know, so it's awesome to be a part of this music business, and to you know, and to be unique and to really stand out. Thank God, that's really important, is for an artist to be themselves.
Yeah.
And to be noticed, and for people, for fans to get it. And thank God that we came through the hip hop. We came through it, but we knew we were different. We knew it was gonna go somewhere else, but we had to come through that way. And you know, it's weird that we became number one, the first rap duo to become number one on the Billboard charts. And I look at it now with different eyes, because it was kind of like, saying grace before you eat, was us blessing the charts that way. Of God, it's like PM Dawn was the people who would actually say on record, yeah, I pray at night, and you know, I thank God and all this stuff. So I find it funny that God would put us in that position, in that number one spot, you know, before everybody else started to come. And I looked, I was like, Run DMC didn't do it? Like the first, like what? Like what is that? God decided to use us, and that, when I look at it, it's just like, wow, I'm part of that. That's big, you know, big.
Amazing. I know you had like 11 siblings, right?
My mom had 7 boys.
Oh, 7 boys? Okay.
Yeah.
And Prince was obviously the oldest, and he was someone that the entire family looked up to. So,
absolutely.
So my question is, in his final moments, because I know he recently passed in 2016, correct?
Yes. Yes.
In his final moments, tell us about like those conversations that you all had, because what did he want his legacy to be?
He started to see it. Like after Childish Gambino covered I Die Without You and Alicia Keys covered I Die Without You, he was like, oh wow, like I'm still loved, right? They still love me, they still understand me. And that's what he really wanted, to make sure that that you got it. Like you got what he was saying, and you followed what he was saying spiritually. You went on that journey with him. And that was important. You know, I through the grace of Rev Run, I Die Without You, that song afforded us to be able to sing that song at Rev Run's wedding when him and Justine got married.
Wow.
So, you know, Rev Run came into the picture to really bring those spiritual questions, to bring answers for that. And thank God, you know, we had that. And the crazy thing is, I stayed in the presence of Rev Run and did everything that he did, and started to grow spiritually. So my spiritual mentor, which was Prince B, at the end of the day was calling me and asking me spiritual questions. It was the weirdest thing, right? And it just felt like I was a little kid and then I grew up, you know. And for a person who's like a mentor and a father figure to start to ask you questions, that's big. you
that
know,
is really huge. And speaking of that, because you often, you know, you mentioned several times during this conversation that, you know, about his spiritual journey, and you know, they get it, and just what I wanted them to know.
Yeah.
Tell me specifically, even if it's just one specific insight, what was it that he wanted people to know about spirituality, and how he was able to infuse that into his music?
Well, he wanted to make sure that it's important to ask questions, because that's the only way you get answers. Right? That the only way, if you have to ask God. This is the craziest thing, and I'll keep it short.
Okay.
But my agreement was, once I see something spiritually, or I read something biblically that catches my eye, I want to know what that is. I want to live it. And I'm gonna just say this for the record, because it's crazy. when I saw that Jesus said in the Bible, I did not come to save the world, but I came to put father against son, brother against brother, mother. I said, God, what is that? And I physically had to walk through that whole season to get the spiritual answer of it.
And what was the spiritual answer?
It's, you're getting into some metaphysical stuff, but the most dominant thought, right? If somebody wants to be successful as an artist, that's their dominant thought, right? So as they march forward in that, things will start to come serendipitously. Things, people, places, all these things will start to come together to help you live that answer. And that's what Prince B wanted. He wanted people, by asking those questions, that to live the answer.
Live the answer to the question that they had spiritually. Thank you so much. Now, one more thing. I want to know what's next for you. Eternal. What's next?
There's a surprise in the unsung episode. Thank God that there's a Prince B tribute song that gets played by me. I made a song for my brother, and I'm working on my solo record now, but I have out my cousin Naya, NY''A. We have a song out now called Chillin' With My Baby. And it's released independently and is doing very, very well. We came out about 7 months ago, and we're going this Monday to go record the next single. So I'm taking it to the next level. Yes,
you are. And where can people find you now, Eternal?
Y'all can hit me up, man. Instagram, Twitter at Eternal_PM Dawn. Y'all can hit me up on Facebook by my government name, Jared Cordes. Just hit me. I'm here. I'm not going nowhere. We here to make it do what it do and to continue the PM Dawn legacy. And again, big up to my big bro, Prince B, the captain of the PM Dawn ship.
Thank you so much for interviewing today with This Is R&B. We love you. We support
PM
Dawn forever. And thank you so much. We're all looking forward to the TV One Unsung episode. Have a good day.
Wow, that was awesome.